Think about this for a moment. Have you ever felt that there was an unseen force driving you with respect to romantic relationships? One which deeply influences the type of potential mate you're attracted to. One that often causes the initial bliss of the honeymoon period to, well, dim or blink out completely after a relatively short period of time. One that causes many men to start noticing other women even when they are totally committed to their mate. One that causes many women to go almost crazy listening to the ticking of their biological clock, whether they want children or not, and to be very uncomfortable about letting their partner know what they really want in the bedroom. If so, you have just glimpsed the human sexual operating system at work. Not only is it extraordinarily powerful, it is also in total alignment with and perversely adverse to Maslow's hierarchy of needs at the same time. Talk about messed up. Yet, there is a way out of this dilemma. But before we can even hope to overcome this nearly irresistible force, we need to understand it clearly first. At the very foundation of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is the survival instinct. It is the most powerful and ancient of all needs. And it has done its job admirably. For the most part, we have survived, both individually, well, at least in the developed world, and collectively in terms of continued propagation of the species. Unfortunately, because it is a deeply unconscious driving force, it is the primary reason we have wars, greed, bigotry, intolerance, jealousy, suffering, torture, broken relationships, and even individual sovereignties instead of just one unified, harmonious world of human beings. If you carefully peel away the layers of the onion for every one of these conditions, you will find at its core the drive to survive. And this unconscious drive doesn't care what it takes to succeed in its mission. How deeply and cosmically ironic that this drive, which has caused our species to come so far, is now literally tearing us apart and will ultimately destroy us all if left unchecked. The sexual operating system, or S.O.S. for short, is a major component, or subroutine for those more tech-inclined, of our survival programming. That's because it drives the need for propagation of the species, which is all about collective rather than individual survival. Now, what I'm about to share with you next is based upon my observation and discussions with many men and women, all coming from my rather unique perspective of a fully impotent male, which means much of my S.O.S. wiring has, well, been short-circuited. Now, you don't have to take any of the following as truth. However, I do invite you to consider the possibility that there may be truth to it. Our S.O.S. manifests differently in men and women because of their respective biological roles in the successful propagation and survival of the species. The way most men are wired within the S.O.S. is to spread their seed far and wide and frequently as possible. That this part of the drive is so powerful is evidenced by the fact that most men have an almost uncontrollable urge for immediate release when they have an erection. It's the reason why so many men will find other women attractive, that is, potential mate material, even when they are in a fully committed relationship. The S.O.S. has also wired most men to be the providers for a family unit so that it can survive and eventually propagate future generations as well. This tends to make men very goal-driven and action-oriented and less likely to relate their true feelings lest they get in the way of the overall imperative. The drive for dominance is also a result of this wiring, which can explain why so many males vie for the attention of the most attractive females. It is their de facto evidence of superiority over other competing males, an important outcome within the framework of the default S.O.S. Likewise, the S.O.S. has wired most women to be far more nurturing and emotionally available in order to assist their young to assimilate into a potentially dangerous and hostile world. It also tends to make them want to attract and feel dependent upon the best mate to provide food, shelter, clothing, and so on, while they focus on, well, the little cave rats. In case you think this is far-fetched, I was recently interviewed by a 30-plus-year-old female radio host and a couples therapist who just entered into a new and exciting relationship. Yet when I turned the interview tables around on her and asked, "So tell me, what would happen if you told your new love what you really wanted in the bedroom?" She actually became flustered. Then she blurted out, over the air no less, "Oh my God, I just went right back to the cave and felt anxiety that if I told him the truth, he'd leave me and the kids." Now, she was speaking metaphorically since she has no children. So as you can see, the S.O.S has an extremely powerful influence over our relationship behaviors. So if this is the way nature wired us, why do we have so many unhappy couples? Well, that has to do with the other end of the hierarchy of need spectrum, the need for self-actualization and transcendence. It is where these two opposing needs, that is, the survival instinct versus conscious self-actualization and transcendence, are at war with each other that causes most relationship problems. For most people who enjoy orgasm with another person, it is their only experience with true transcendence, meaning that for a few fleeting seconds, their survival-obsessed ego dissolves into a sense of fearless and sublime unity with everything, especially the person who just helped them achieve it. And I submit to you that this is what many within our modern culture desperately want to experience much more of, only to be stymied by their respective default S.O.S. Fortunately, thanks to my rather unique situation and that of others I've interviewed, there is a way to rewire or upgrade our S.O.S so that it actually helps us achieve our highest level need, that for self-actualization and transcendence within the context of relationship. Based upon what my partner and I consistently experience, we developed a method that works for us and so far seems to help just about anyone we've shared it with to upgrade their S.O.S as long as they are committed to genuinely exploring that possibility. And in doing so, help them consistently achieve the deep connection they seek and avoid the consequences that can ultimately befall any of us if our default S.O.S is left unchecked.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Extraordinary Intimacy with Michael J. Russell. For all speaking, media interviews, and workshop inquiries, go to michaelrusselllive.com. For private intimacy coaching, send an email to coaching@michaelrusselllive.com.